What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Shiv, and today I want to talk to you about 10 decks that I have found to be pretty goddamn good in Journey to Ungoro. But before we get to this, I'd like to take a moment to shit on everybody who said Bittertide Hydra was going to be good. This includes you, PC Gamer. This card is absolute trash, and people have found out the hard way. Oh, but it's just like, no, it's not. It's absolutely not like that. This card, taking 10% of your life for every one incremental damage, is a horrible thing. Arcane Missiles, fucking Humility, Rat Packs that are increased, followed with the Tundra Rhino. Horrible fucking concept. This card is absolute shit. Alright? And people have been punished hard for playing it. So for everybody who said this card was going to be the fucking next level fucking OP aggro tool, you got shit on. Alright, moving forward, let's go over the decks. Alright, so here we have a Quest Hunter deck that I affectionately refer to as Nature Finds a Way. For those of you who've ever seen Jurassic Park, you'll get the reference. Alright, so we're starting off with Alley Cats because, you know, the quest requires a bunch of 1-drops to be played, and Alley Cats is a really good tool for that. You get 2 1-drops on the board, but it only counts as 1 for the quest. You also are running Firebat because, you know, it's a 2-1 that deals 1 randomly to a minion, and it could actually possibly trade and kill another minion. I've had this happen quite a few times. Cool story. Next up, we have Firefly. This card is surprisingly very versatile and used in a lot of decks. This is like pretty much the Novice Engineer pre-nerf of the set. I've seen a lot of decks use it, and it works pretty goddamn good. Hell, even, whatchamacallit, rogues have been experimenting with this card because it's really, really simple to get this going, for the core. Yeah, true story. Alright, next up we've got is Hunter's Mark. Guess what? Hunter's Mark is awesome, and here's why. You're going to come up against a lot of threats that you're just not going to be able to handle as a hunter, and our tools for dealing with it are generally value trading and or deadly shot. Well, there's no deadly shot in the deck, so we had to come with something that was economical that could work with the deck, and Hunter's Mark happened to be just that. I would love to put 2 in here, but that means dropping a one of the 1-drops, and I really just did not feel overly comfortable doing that. Jeweled Macaw is the new web spinner of the set, and is actually better than web spinner because you get the effect right away once you play it. Gee, don't you wish Bran was still in play, guys? Yeah, I do too. Alright, Raptor Hatchling. It's a 2-1 that Death Rattle shuffles a 4-3 in your deck, and that 4-3 is also a 1-1, so this card literally does count for 2 fucking 1-drops for your thing. So that's total of 4 1-drops that you're getting just off that. Alright, Stampede. We're playing a lot of 1-drops. We're playing a lot of beasts. Made perfect fucking sense. This is going to refill your hand. It's going to give you some more mid to late game options here. Never overlook the value of this card. Playing this in the early game just to kind of find the option does feel kind of shitty, but playing this in the mid to late game where you could spam out a lot of minions, i.e. after you've gotten the quest done, can give you a shit ton of fucking value just in minions you can put down. The Marsh Queen, once you complete this quest, you get a 5-mana 8/8 that puts a shit ton of fucking 1-drop 3/2 Battlecry, draw a card, Raptors in your deck. And let me tell you something, that's going to be a really important part of this deck. Alright, next up we have the Crackling Razor Maw. I found this card is actually quite useful in a lot of circumstances. Most notably, I found its value can be used on things like, say, an Unleash the Hounds, turning one of those hounds into a poisonous charger, basically killing off something instantly, like that. I have found buffing up, say, the Scavenging Hyena with plus health gives it a lot more viability and survivability. So yeah, that's something to be considered there. Alright, Grievous Bite. We were going up against a lot of Murloc players, and it made a lot of sense to have something that could kind of clear off a chunk of them in one fell swoop. Normally I would say Maelstrom Portal if we were Shaman, but hey, we're fucking Hunter. I did experiment around with having the flame, or the explosive trap, and what I discovered was that having the ability to remove the targets on the board right then and there was a lot more powerful than just a 2 damage AoE that they could buff out of its range. So, yeah, that made a lot of sense. Not to mention the fact that I got really sick and tired of going up against Pirate Warrior, and the moment I played down the Explosive Trap, they would just play down the Frothing Berserker and get massive fucking value off of it. So, yeah, that was problematic. Scavenging Hyena, we got a lot of 1-drops that are beast in this deck, and a lot of other good value here. So it made a lot of sense to put this in here. Animal Companion, pretty much a staple. Fuck it, why not? Kill Command, staple. Fuck it, why not? Unleash the Hounds, staple. Fuck it, why not? Houndmaster, also a staple, but also works really good in giving more value to some of the lower drop minions that you're going to have out there. In certain circumstances, being able to take the Marsh Queen and turn her into a 10-10 taunt is actually pretty damn good. What I have found is if you can get the Marsh Queen down and she survives, going Houndmaster on top of it, then to a Crackling Razor Maw, and then putting Wind Fury is a devastating fucking coup de grace to almost every single deck that fucking exists out there. True story. Really good. Alright. Now, this is a quest objective deck, so it made only perfect sense to have the Tolvir Warden just to ensure that you're getting those 1-drops that you need in order to push into completing your quest. And last but not least, we have the Tundra Rhino. This card has done a shit ton of work in the deck. Not even gonna lie, this card is fucking amazing. What I love doing with this card is after I've gotten the quest done, playing down Tundra Rhino and then cycling some of those raptors to where they're drawing more raptors and more raptors and more raptors. And what I end up getting is a quest damage chain of just, 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage. Works pretty goddamn good, all right? In theory, you can do 6 times 3, 18 damage off that fucking combination. In theory, if you have the coin. If not, you're just doing 15. So 15 is not that bad, guys. It's no 18, but 15 is pretty fucking good. And I have had that happen a couple times, and it works pretty damn good. Oh, my bad. It's 17 damage. My bad. So 17 damage is not horribly bad. It's a great way of just smork lifing your opponent's face. It is a little difficult to pull off. Not gonna lie, anytime you get any spell or anything of that nature, it can throw the chain completely off. But if you're combining it with, say, something like Stampede, then you're kind of going to ensure that you're going to get a lot of value out of it. But by combining it with Stampede, you are lessening the possible damage output, but getting a little bit more consistency with it. So keep that in mind. And it is a beast, so things such as Crackling Razor Maw to give it, say, cannot be targeted by spell, or, say, a Divine Shield, or Stealth is a really important thing. That way you can continue having value off this card. Not even gonna lie. Really important fact there, guys. All in all, the deck is not bad. It's not bad at all. Would I say it's great? That's a rough call. I have been able to eke out almost a 60% win rate with the deck. The biggest problems I have with it are some of the more aggressive decks, and then this deck basically not firing on all 8 cylinders, and it just kind of falls behind. That's going to be one of the biggest problems with any quest deck, and Hunter is no different. I will say in comparison to its non-quest variant, it is a little weaker. It is a little bit weaker. Alright, moving on, we're going to go to another quest deck, and it is the No-Go Face Taunt Warrior deck. Yes, alright, so the quest... And this is pretty much the entire objective of the deck, is to get your quest completed, get the Ragnaros hero power, and just completely decimate the shit out of your opponent's board and or face. Alright, so we got a lot of tools to kind of help in this. We've got the Blood to Ichor, really great for activating things such as Execute, true fact. We got Whirlwinds, which are going to play a really huge role in this deck, most notably for your turn 2 cornered sentry plays and things of that nature. But we're also using Battle Rage, because what I discovered when I was trying to make a Taunt Warrior actually viable was that I just did not have enough card draw to sustain it. I couldn't get to the tools that I really needed. I tried messing around with slams, didn't work out nearly as well as I wanted it to. I tried working around with Acolytes of Pain, didn't work nearly as well as I wanted it to. I even tried using King Mosh, and that card was fucking trash. There were a lot of tools that just weren't there. They just were not there, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, kind of became problematic. So when I put in Battle Rage and applied the same basic doctrines that I was going for the rest of the deck, I suddenly discovered, fuck, I never ran out of gas. This is great. This is fucking amazing. All right, so Cornered Sentry. This card is a little bit of an interesting quandary. I love the card in so many ways, but at the same time, it definitely has some problems. But you can also work around it. Obviously, turn 3 is to play this and then go Whirlwind. Yeah, sure, that's good value. You get a 2/5 on the board. Unfortunately, it dies to an Execute, so keep that in mind. But against Rogue, they can't just use fucking Backstab on it and then cycle into a combo. So there's something considered for that. But what I really love doing with this card, and this is so disgusting, this is like that next level tech that you guys need to consider, is I love coining out Frothing Berserker on 2 and then playing Cornered Sentry on 3. Okay? Now, that'll still leave you 1 mana left over, and you have your choice here. If you've got the Whirlwind, yeah, sure, go right ahead. You'll clear off all those little tokens. You also do 1 damage to all your guys. And, oh, by the way, your Frothing Berserker is now a 7/3. Yeah. Yeah, that's scary, isn't it? Oh, and did I happen to mention that he can now hit face for 7 damage? Yeah, that's that Smork life right there. That's that Smork life. Now, the deck is not designed to be a Smork deck, but it has the ability of doing that and just shutting down your opponent real fucking quick. All right. Execute's pretty much one of the best removals in the game, even at 2. Fire War Axe is pretty much a staple of every single warrior since day 1. We already talked about Frothing Berserker and how awesome that is. Ravaging Ghoul, again, see Frothing Berserker, see Cornered Sentry for some really good synergies there, as well as Execute. We have the Stonehill Defender. So, right, the deck is a quest deck for taunts. So being able to add more taunts to your hand in order to help this objective makes sense. So Stonehill Defender makes sense. A lot of times I will just love this card. It's cute. It's a Silverback Patriarch, but better. So yeah, good card. Tar Creeper. This card I have found to be surprisingly good. It is better than so many other low cost taunts that have been provided to us in the past that I just think this card's fucking amazing. It shuts down so many decks. Offensively, it's kind of shit, but you're not playing it for an offensive purposes. You're playing it to slow down your opponents and annoy the shit out of them. All right, Bloodhoof Braves, we've got a lot of whirlwind effects and self-damaging effects, right? It only makes sense to have this card here. Not to mention, it forces your opponents to play really, really wonky to deal with this. And that's always good, too. So I love that. Corkron Elite, sometimes you just need a 4 damage removal option or just go 4 face for the lethal. So Corkron Elite fits that bill quite nicely. Ali Armorsmith, kind of difficult to deal with 7 health, but not completely outside the range of being able to deal with it. I'll tell you right now, priests are your fucking bane, because they will Shadow Word Pain the shit out of this and just completely wreck most of your armor game potential in the deck. But if they don't, hey, you're good. Also, I'd like to point out that Stonehill Defender pulling an Ali Armorsmith is not a bad choice. All right, adding another Ali Armorsmith, always a good thing. Okay, so we got Brawls because, you know, board clear. Fuck you, Kaleidosaur. And we have the Direhorn Hatchling, again, adding more value of taunts to the deck. Okay, so that is the deck itself. Now, you notice that the curve stops at 5. It's not using any other sort of endgame scenarios. Like, there's no Alexstrasza. There's no Gromash Hellscream to go for that blitz attack. You're absolutely right. It's not. It is focused on one thing. Getting the quest out, delaying your opponents, and then basically just constantly removing their board and then hitting them with the hero power and hoping it goes face just to remove it. It works out pretty damn good. You got a lot of tools here to kind of whittle your opponent down and exhaust their hand advantage. And once you've done that, then the taunts go marching on with Ragnaros hero power to boot, and you can use the fucking Sulfurous to smash the shit out of any minions they try to put in the way, and thus allow 8 damage to the face. All in all, I've had a lot of fun with the deck. I really have. I think it's actually a pretty decent deck. Now, I'm sure that there's some optimization that can be done for the deck, and this is just my first iteration for it. But it's pretty damn decent. I did borrow kind of heavily off of what I saw Disguised Toast was doing, and kind of tweaked it to my own preferred settings. So keep that in mind. Next up, we got the Brocalypse Quest deck. Yes, we're doing 3 Quest decks in a row here. All right. I've already gone over this deck in a previous video, but the deck is still just performing quite nicely. Achieving the quest gives you the Mega Fin. It smashes the shit out of the opponents. It constantly refills potential threats in your hand. It is a really annoying and difficult deck to deal with. It also does pretty damn decent against some of the other Murloc variants I've seen out there. It does pretty decent against Pirate Warrior for the most part. And it's just got lots of value. I like the deck quite a bit. It also is breaking even against Rogue right now, which I found really interesting. Maybe it's because of the fact that I can just smork the shit out of them quite nicely. I will tell you right now, going Murloc Tidehunter on turn 2 and then coining out a Rockpool Hunter has been quite successful for me in versus the Rogue. Because nothing is more annoying than having a 3/3 Murloc that grows with every other Murloc that's going to be played. So, yeah, that's nice. But all in all, the deck is actually pretty fucking solid. One of the original iterations had Cold Light Oracle versus Cold Light Seer, and I quickly found that I needed more health to my Murlocs than I needed card draw. So, yeah, good point. The deck is pretty solid, and is running close to 70% win rate right now. Yeah, it's like 68.7. Okay, next we're going to go to the Dog deck. This is the deck that Dog got #1 legend with. The Brokeback Rogue is what I'm referring to it as. It's a quest rogue. It is just downright dirty, and it is kind of leading its own nerf, to be completely blunt with you. There are a lot of people who are calling for the quest to be changed. They feel that the +5s are a little bit too powerful. They're feeling that the ease of the quest itself is a little too easy, and they're kind of feeling like it's a no-win scenario for them, and grinding ladder with anything other than this feels almost pointless. And yeah, there are a shit ton of threads on this fucking deck alone. All right, so the deck is pretty simple. Bounce back fucking 1 minion several times. Depending on what you're playing up against, will determine which minion you're going to do. If you're going up against a deck that is very, very slow, obviously bouncing back, say, South Sea deckhands will be pretty fucking ideal. I generally don't prefer doing the South Sea deckhand. It seems like a good idea, but it really isn't. I prefer using the Swashbuckler for all intents and purposes, just because getting the value off of what my opponents have seems like a much better play, and it allowed me a little bit more flexibility in my mid to late game plays. True fact. So yeah, I really like this deck. And it also is turning a card that everybody laughed at, said was absolutely stupid and useless, into a viable fucking card. The Gadget Sand Ferryman. Everybody said this card was fucking trash. It's like, dude, nobody will ever play this shit. This is a fucking garbage card. Oh my god, why would I ever play this when Youthful Brewmaster? Well, dude, we're actually using Youthful Brewmaster as well. And it's funny because there were a couple people who say, dude, think about it, man. We could bounce back cards like several times over so we can get the value. You know, think about this. A never-ending chain of fucking this. And people were quick to go, no, it's bad. Well, now it's actually good because of the quest. And yeah. What I really like about this deck is how it interacts with Edwin Van Cleef, starting it automatically as a 5/5 without having to do anything else. Point to note here, if you prep out the quest itself, right, that's going to bring it down to 2 mana. That's 2 cards in. And if you play Edwin immediately onto that, that makes Edwin a 9/9. Wait, is that right? So 5, yeah, a 9/9. That's not bad, guys. That's not bad at all. But obviously, you're not going to want to stop there. Now, other cool things with this deck, you got the Mimic Pod, which can lead to some hilarity. And I will tell you right now, I've Mimic Pod a fucking Morose. You want to see some funny shit, guys? Once you get the quest done, drop 2 Moroses. Watch your opponents concede instantly. It's great. Violet Teacher, because, you know, we're rogue and we're used to cycling a lot of low-cost spells to get value off a token-based deck. And now all my tokens coming out are 5/5s as well. Good times. This deck can completely overwhelm your opponent's best laid plans quite easily. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you're playing up against a rogue, burn the shit out of them as much as you possibly can. Once that quest goes off, if you can't finish them off within 1 or 2 turns, you're pretty fucked. Pretty fucked. If you're going to try to fight for the board, you're going to lose. So don't do it. Don't do it, guys. Just burn the shit out of them. But yeah, this deck is definitely overpowered, and rogues right now are experiencing a fucking heyday they haven't seen since like Miracle before it got nerfed. So yeah, I honestly think that this deck is most likely in line for a nerf moving forward. Moving on. Eggs Over Chacky is an egg deck that actually I saw from my boy Chacky. He put this up on his Twitter, and I played around with it a bit and found it to be really fun to play. Really fun to play. I've had 60% win rate with the deck. It's very similar to most of the Jackie Chan design decks. You know, get out your early game. Pretty simple. And because you're almost always going to have a lot of board value, Ravenous Runt makes pretty good sense here. All right. And the cool thing is, because it's an ADAPT minion, you can also give it, say, the Living Spore thing. So even if they kill it, you're still going to have a remainder on the board, which plays very heavily with things such as Mark of the Lotus and Power of the Wild and Savage Roar. Board count means everything with this deck. Now, it's also running the Finja package, but I'm going to tell you right now, most of the times, I win the games before I ever even see Finja in my fucking hand. The Living Mana is a very interesting concept here. I've played it a little bit, and the idea behind this is you play the Living Mana down, and most likely your opponents are not going to be able to kill off every one of those 2/2s. So what you end up doing is, if they ignore your 2/2s, boom, they just try to Shrek you down. You trade one of the 2/2s into something to kill it, and that'll give you exactly 3 mana, and then you can play off your Savage Roar and smork a shit ton of damage to the face. All right, so if you do this like on curve at 5, boom, you're going to have 5 on board. You kill off one, that's 4 on board, right? So that's 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 more, you're looking at 16 plus 2 is 18 damage face. Yeah, that's pretty goddamn good, guys. That's pretty goddamn good. That's if you have nothing on the board. Keep that in mind. But if you do have other things on the board, then obviously that number goes up pretty fucking high. So yeah, good times. I like the deck. I think it's actually pretty good. It's very aggressive, and it will shit on a lot of decks. You also notice it's running only like a few spells here with like Innervate and Living Mana. There's no swipes. You do have the Mark of the Lotus, and you do have Power Wild, but there's no removal spells whatsoever. It's just pure fucking Smork life. Yay, Chacky, for giving us another cancerous deck. All right, moving on. We have what I refer to as the Yellow Brick Curve, and it's a pretty accurate term when you look at how this all plays out. This is a Shaman Elemental deck. Hey, look, Firefly, it's making a return. Firefly is a really powerful card, guys. Don't undervalue this card in any way, shape, or form. Lots of people are using this in lots of different classes. All right, so the whole concept of this deck is get minions down on 3. You have to get a 3-drop down on 3. It's really, really important, whether it be the Hot Spring Guardian, the Igneous Elemental, or the Tar Creeper. You want one of those in your hand going into 3. Fireflies on the opening are really good too. But at the same time, not is okay. Being able to play these later on to reset your elemental synergies in order to be able to do all the things you need to do is kind of an important tool as well. We're also running Jade Claws because, you know, it's a pretty good value card. It really is. Devolve because fuck you, Kaleidosaur, and other really annoying threats that I really don't want to deal with, such as like Edwin Van Cleef. Let's see, we've got Lightning Storms, we got Mana Tides, Tar Creepers, Genu Water Speaker, because heals are good. Now, if you do a quick add here, this is 18 plus health total you have in the deck. You have 6 off the 2 Hot Springs, and you got 12 off the 2 Genu Water Speakers for a grand total of 18. So you are effectively dealing with about 48 life. That's going to be pretty decent. And we've got a lot of taunts here in the deck. We're also running the Tolvir Stone Shaper because why not? It's a good taunt. Take that all day long. Going on with the elemental synergies, we have the Servant of Kalamos. I love this card. Like, the first time I played this, one of the options was actually Kalamos himself, and it was a golden servant, so I got a golden Kalamos, so made sense. Ironically enough, in that match, it was against a Taunt Warrior. The Taunt Warrior completed his objective, got the Ragnaros Hero Power. I played Kalamos, filled the board with 1/1s, and completely negated his hero power quite nicely. It was actually one of the only ways I was able to survive and beat that deck. True story. Fire Elemental, really great tool in case you ever have to miss the Elemental Synergy cycle to reignite it as well, and then go into, say, the Blaze Caller. Really nice. So the deck has many different ways of, if you miss the Elemental Synergies, you can bring it back the next turn quite nicely. That's something really important to consider. Thing from below, you're going to be using your totems a decent amount. Not to mention, you have 3 totems built into the deck as is, so having Thing from Below makes a little bit of sense here, guys. It really does. Blaze Caller, Battlecry, deal 5 damage. How do you not take that? All right, 7 mana for a 6/6 that deals 5 damage. Yes, please. Can I have 2? You can? Okay, I'll take 2. And then, of course, Kalamos the Primal Lord. This guy is actually pretty fucking legit, guys. He's pretty fucking legit. I know a lot of people said, oh, you always take the Fireball option, or you always take the AoE option. It really depends. Like, everybody kind of, like, looked at the whole 1/1 thing and went, no. I mean, maybe if I was playing Bloodlust, I might take it. It's like, no, shit, you do that when they get that fucking Ragnaros Hero Power, and you totally fuck up their plan. That's why. Also, it has a heal built into it, so technically you can go up to 60 total health. Or not total health, but you can actually heal back for a grand total of 30 life. That's pretty damn good. So it's effective 60 life. So yeah, I think Kalamos is probably one of the most well-rounded cards there is. It's a great card. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, why aren't you using that 7 mana Shaman Elemental that basically is a 4/4 with two 3s on the side? And yeah, I thought about it, but really, I just couldn't fit it in to make it worthwhile. This, on the other hand, works pretty damn good. If I was to put it in, I have to drop the Things from Below, and yeah, no, Things from Below are much better. That's just my own personal opinion of that. Sorry, guys. It's a true statement. The deck actually is pretty solid. Does well on ladder. I highly recommend checking it out. Alright. Next up, we have the Buff Smash Paladin. Yes, it's the fucking Kaleidosaur fucking Paladin. I hate the fucking Kaleidosaur. I can't tell you how many times this goddamn fucking dinosaur has ruined my best laid plans. Seriously, when I was trying to test out my mage deck, nope. When I was trying to test out a different hunter variant, nope. When I was trying to test out this, trying to test out that, nope. Always ran into that one crazy motherfucker who was playing this goddamn deck. And so I built the damn deck and said, fuck it, let's see how strong this is. And truth be told, it's not a very strong deck. I just got really unlucky. True fact. Alright, so the concept of the deck is really quite simple. Get your quest completed as soon as possible. Opening hand-wise, you're definitely going to want to get these Primal Fin Champions and a couple of these things like Divine Strength. I would say Divine Strength, probably the biggest one. Adaptation is another great one to have as well. Arcane Anomaly is also a really good one to put out there on turn 1. All right, that way you can play down, say, the Primal Fin on turn 2, and if you got coin, and throw out, say, a Divine Strength, and all of a sudden your Arcane Anomaly is now a 2/3, and your Primal Fin is a 2/4. That's like a little bit difficult board to deal with if you got the coin. If not, add 1 turn to that whole scenario. True story. But yeah, no, the deck's actually pretty fucking solid in a lot of aspects, but it does suffer from some interesting little issues here. Now, we're also running the Mana Addict, which, oh my god, I've had so much fun with the Mana Addict on this. Like, What I end up doing is I'll do the Primal Fin stuff in the early part to get the quest done, and then I put the Mana Addicts down on the same turns that I get the Kaleidosaur out there. So they have like targets that they're trying to figure out. It's like, okay, well I could deal with this mana, but then I don't have that. How are we supposed to deal with that? Blah 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 blah. So they waste resources on dealing with the Mana Addicts, and if they don't deal with the Mana Addicts, then all of a sudden I am creating this super huge, powerful smash to the face. Yeah, feels good. We're also running Divine Favor as a way of restocking our hand because the deck does play hyper aggressive. All right, you're going to be spending like 2 to 3 cards a turn quite often, and being able to refill your hand kind of an important thing. We're also running Blessing of Kings, which is a really great tool in this deck for adding more value, especially with say the Kaleidosaur, right? So you got the Divine Shield, you've got the fucking Stealth, you got the Wind Fury, and you got the plus attack, right? Okay, cool. Now it comes to the next turn, you're able to attack with it. Guess what? You're going to throw this down. That's now going to bump you up to 12 total attack, so that's 24 damage total you can do to your opponent's face. That's not even including, say, an Abusive Sergeant. That's not including adding another adaptation on top of it. That's not even including adding a Blessing of Might to it, all right? Not including any of that. Now, we're also running Blessing of Wisdom as a single copy of. Though what I found most of the time is I was putting this on my opponent's minions that were kind of like a really big threat to keep them from attacking. Surprise, surprise, that shit still works. We're running a single copy of Consecration because fuck you, Murlocs. Wicker, Flame, Burn Bristle. Another good target for some of these buffs that you're going to be playing out. True Silver Champion because it's fucking Paladin. Why not? And of course, Leroy, you know, he was actually a Paladin, so it makes perfect sense that he's here. True story. So yeah, the deck's actually kind of fun. Is it competitive? Moving on. Rexar Time Forgot is a non-quest hunter. Alright, so you got the alley cats here. Makes perfect sense. But you'll start noticing that the deck is very similar, but then starts taking a very interesting turn right around this area in the twos. So let's talk about that. We've got, first of all, Smuggler's Crate. This is a big one I want to talk about here. Initially, when I saw the deck that this was primarily built from, because there was an original deck that I was playing around with, and I found it to be absolutely completely shit. I read somebody's commentary on the deck and saying how he changed a few cards and got a much better success rate. I made those changes and said, okay, yeah, that's a step. Now let's see if we can take that another step. Ironically enough, the Smuggler's Crate remained through all those iterations. I can't figure out why I kept it until I started playing it and got really good value on it for certain circumstances. So I'm keeping it in there just because the amount of times that this has actually kind of led to some great moments has been pretty decent. All right, so it's a decent card. It really is. But I would recommend trying to hold off on playing this until you get something, say, like the Rat Pack, and then do a nice little turn 8 play of Thunder Rhino Rat Pack, smash into something, and then all those little 1/1s that are going to spawn out. Yeah, that's the dream scenario there. All right, but moving on. Dinomancy. Not many people like Dinomancy. A lot of people have said that this card is shit, and I've still yet to do the test of whether or not you can Dinomancy to a +3/+3. I'm pretty sure you can't. I haven't read whether or not you can or can't, so this is my ignorance, and I will say that right now. But if you can, holy shit, that could actually be still a bad card. And I'll admit, it is still a bad card, especially when you consider this deck is very much kind of like zoo-centric. So taking away that 2 damage pressure to the face is kind of a shitty thing. But being able to give instant value to even the lowliest of fucking 1/1s and give uptrade on tempo value seems like a good idea. It's just, it is very clunky to try to cycle it in. It really is clunky to try to cycle it in. That's the biggest problem I've had with this card. But it does work pretty decently. All right, so Kindly Grandmother, also really decent card. People will trade off on this one, and then if they don't have anything to possibly buff up or to deal with the 3/2, this is where you can get some really good value. Most notably, off of the Crackling Razor Maw, really good target there. One thing I've done though is I've played a Kindly Grandmother on turn 1, and then I'll put on the Living Spores onto it. That way when it dies, it comes out as a 3/2 plus 2/1/1s That's pretty good value right there, guys. That is pretty good values. What you end up getting is a 3-2 on one side, 2 1-1s, and a 3-2 on the other side. Good talk. Good talk. Knife Juggler made a lot of sense in this deck because we are playing a lot of low drops that spawn multiple creatures. We also have things such as Unleash the Hounds, Rat Packs, and things of that nature. And just playing on curve, Knife Juggler makes a lot of fucking sense, and it is a threat that your opponents will react to. Now, because we are playing a lot of low drop beasts that are most likely going to die magnanimously, Scavenging Hyena made sense. Oh boy, this card breaks so many people's backs when they don't deal with it. Stubborn Gastropod, because, you know, the snail looks kind of cool as shit, man. Obviously, wow, the golden variant looks pretty cool. The breathing and stretching looks pretty nice. The card is actually quite amazing. And going back to the whole Crackling Razor Maw, I have found that adapting this minion is pretty damn good. It's like, oh, it's a 1-2 taunt. Oh, it's a 1-2 taunt now with Divine Shield. Have a nice day. Oh, it's a 1-2 taunt that just got +3 health. Oh, it's a 1-2 taunt that just cannot be targeted by spells. You know, lots of different things that are really cool with this. But it's a really great way of slowing down your opponents, and yeah, I like it. I like this card a lot. Animal Companion, it's a Hunter Standard, why not? Eaglehorn Bow, Hunter Standard, why not? Kill Command, Hunter Standard, why not? Rat Pack, again, we only could fit one of these in the deck, and it does really work pretty nicely. I like it. And I've had great success because we're also running the Tundra Rhino in here. Where I've had the greatest success is playing the Rat Pack after Dynamancy's already played, buffing this up to a 4, and then the next turn playing down the Tundra Rhino and then trading this off. Where this has worked really well was against this stupid card right here, was the Bittertide Hydra, and that led to, well, my opponent taking 15 damage in one turn and pretty much going ahead and conceding the game. Yeah, to everybody who said this card was good, you were fucking wrong. Have a nice day. Alright, Unleash the Hounds. Again, so much synergy with, say, Scavenging Hyenas, Knife Jugglers. It made a lot of sense. We also have the Hunter's Mark here, so that's another tool it can work with. And now we're going to get to the sleeper fucking hit of the set, and that is the Vicious Fledgling. Oh my god. In Hunter, this card is amazing. This card is so fucking amazing. Alright, so we're going to go over some really cool iterations you could do with this card. Alright, I want to put this out there. So on curve, playing this down, perfectly fine. If you've got Dynamancy already in play, this is even better because you turn it into a 5. If you don't have Dynamancy in play, play Dynamancy that next turn. If they ignore this card, it is their doom. Play Dynamancy, boom. And then you buff this up to a 5/5, and then you attack straight to the face. Now it's going to give you options. If stealth is one of these options, you take it. You take that shit. All right? Now, here's where things get really cool. You got a stealth 5/5. That's not really all that spectacular, right? Stealth 5/5 on 5, you know, that's already there on 5. Okay, that's kind of cool, but not really. Now let's make it really cool. Next turn, you're going to play a Crackling Razor Maw, and you're going to adapt this again. Now, if you get Wind Fury as an option, you take that shit. You take it. And then you Dynamancy it again, turning it into 7. And now that's 14 damage you've just done to your opponent's face. So let's do the math here. That's 19 damage that this has been able to achieve in that nice little chain. All right. Oh, and it gets to adapt again. So what are you going to take? Oh, wait, you took the +3 attack? Oh, that means you add 3 more to it. So let's see, that was 19. That is now 22 damage this one minion in that little chain has been able to achieve. This card is fucking insane if you can get certain synergies going with it. This card has ended games on turn 5 more times than I can even fucking count. This card's amazing. Fucking amazing. All right, guys, check this shit out. It works with even Houndmaster, all right? Check it out. And it's a beast, so fucking kill commands also activate with it. All right, moving on. Houndmaster, oh, crap. That ain't good. We done messed up here, our deck. Oops, one moment. All right, there we go. Houndmaster does a lot of work in a lot of decks. You really can't undervalue it. The fact that it's adding a +2/+2 as well as taunt can give it a lot of flexibility in this deck. buy you more damage, buy you some protection, whatever. And you also get a 4/3 minion on top of that. Pretty fucking good deal, guys. Steglodon. Now, here's a great target for both Houndmaster and Dinomancy. I'm not even kidding. Houndmaster, Dinomancy, Crackling Razormaw. I've had great success using all of them on this Steglodon. It's a good, solid body. It's already got Taunt on it. So, really, all you have to do now is just buff it up. All right? You're not pretty much pigeonholed to needing the Houndmaster. You're not pigeonholed for a lot of things. Now, I know some of you are going to say, yeah, but if you don't really care about the taunt, you can get a 2/7. No, you're absolutely right. You can. But I like this. This is a dinosaur. The other one's just a really ugly turtle. So yeah. Cool story. And of course, Tundra Rhino has a lot of value in this deck. Being able to play off things like Vicious Fledgling and instantly get that adaptation going. Boom, attack, boom. Now, here's a question, though. And since I haven't ever gotten Wind Fury with this, so everything I'm talking about is speculation. If it attacks the second time because of the Wind Fury, does it get another adapt? Oh, see what I'm saying there? That is some really interesting stuff that we're definitely going to be testing out later tonight. But from what I've played of it in the 10 games, I've never actually had that scenario happen to me to where I can get away with this. But it does feel like a feasible possibility. It does. Outside of that, though, the Tundra Rhino is just an amazing card, and everything else in the deck, very much beast-centric, makes sense. And this is a type of, like, beast hunter we haven't seen played in a very long time, ladies and gentlemen. This is, like, back during CBT. It was, like, beast hunter was, you know, this thing that everybody was kind of playing with and trying to make work, and it did pretty decently until, you know, some crazy asshole decided he was going to make Unleash the Hounds into an OTK deck, and then my dumbass came along and streamlined it. Yeah. And then they banned it. It's like literally, it's quote-unquote nerf, but they banned the effect outright, so yeah. But the deck is actually pretty good. Check it out. It's pretty solid, pretty stable grinder. Highly recommend. All right. Next, we have the Epic Sax Mage. This is a quest deck. Okay, so, guys, have you ever wanted to have a Trollden-worthy video? Well, guess what? Blizzard has made it to where everybody can have a Trollden-worthy video. All right? Introduce the Epic Sax Mage. When you actually get this combination going and actually have it happen, in the back of your mind, you will hear the following sound. Doot, 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 doot. 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 Yes, we're too poor to actually go and edit that sound in. All right, bite me. All right, so the concept of the deck is you're going to complete the quest and you're going to want to get 5 total cards in your hand. 5 cards are going to be both copies of your Sorcerer's Apprentice and both copies of Ultimate Reflection, as well as Archmage Antonidas. Now, here's where it gets really fun. Once you've achieved this endgame scenario, here's what ends up happening. You play Sorcerer's Apprentice to Sorcerer's Apprentice. Molten Reflection, one of them, and then Molten Reflection, another one. And then you play down the actual spell that you get from Open the Way game. Now you end turn. You'll get your next turn. You'll play Archmage Antonidas, and pretty much any spell you have in your hand with this scenario set up will activate Archmage Antonidas. And then you're drawing nothing but free fireballs to throw to your opponent's face. I don't give a fuck how good of a fucking control warrior you are and you have 70 some odd fucking health. You are not surviving this, sir. You are going to die. Basically, it's going to be, you know, animations and APM versus your health total once this happens. All right. This is the OTK Epic Sax Trollden worthy lull moment you've been dying for, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I will tell you, in practice, though, it is a little bit more difficult to pull off. We do have a lot of card draw here. Grand total of 2, 4, 5, 7 card draw options available, as well as having things like the Kabbalist Tome, which is definitely going to help towards your endgame scenario. we have some control elements with, say, Doomsayer here, Frost Novas. We've got the Ice Blocks, Ice Barrier, singular Frost Novas. Cabal Courier is also going to pull some tools in. Blizzard definitely does some tools here. But we're not running a Flame Strike because we're going for this combo thing. So some things had to be omitted. So all in all, the deck works. Consistently will depend on how good of a player you are and how well you are able to see the bigger game plan. I will tell you right now, though, Primordial Glyph is a fucking monster of a card. Holy shit, I love this card. This card is fucking amazing. There's nothing more fun than on turn 2, pulling a Kabbalist Tome and then playing a Kabbalist Tome on 3. That shit feels so good. That feels so good. And then getting another Primordial Glyph out of it. That's so much fun, guys. It really is. I can't even lie. But the deck, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to want to always get your Babbling Books or your Arcanologist in your opening hand. You always start with the Open the Way Gate in your hand. You never want to play your Sorcerer's Apprentice during any point of the game until you're ready to pull the fucking trigger. So, in general, keeping one in the hand and or throwing it back is both an acceptable thing, but never ever play them down or else the combo goes to complete shit and you're not going to pull it off. True story. Unless you get a third Molten Reflection, and then you can kind of get away with it, but even still it's very hard. I would not recommend it. I really wouldn't. So yeah, but if you do happen to pull that off and get like that other Molten Reflection, then throwing out one of them does make sense, but you're also kind of throwing away that consistency that you're really looking for there. So keep that in mind. Careful with the Cold Light Oracles. Use that as a going into that last little stretch, and you want to just completely go for that combo there, and you just need to pull that second Sorcerer's Apprentice to pull it off. All right, that's the only time you really should be playing this. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory if you ever played a Freeze Mage deck. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And the last deck we're going to talk about is a priest deck that I've been affectionately referring to as Sin City, just because it feels dirty as fuck. And I've made a lot of deck names that basically imply that priests are nothing more than child molesters, and I feel we kind of played that meme out a little bit too much. All right, so here we go. We've got this deck, and the basic principle of the deck is we're going to take value of some really cool synergies involving the Lyra Sun Shard, the Radiant Elementals, and Priest of the Feast to create basically a spell chain cycle that will allow me to heal through almost everything to get to a late game scenario. And that late game scenario basically involves Medivh the Guardian into Free from Amber. Now, here's another cool thing. We're also running Arcane Giants because we're going to be cycling a lot of spells using, say, Shadow Visions and Power Word Shields and Radiant Elementals and all that. So we're going to get this weird sort of cycle chain that we can actually get going here. And what that'll end up doing is basically power this to where it's free to play. And putting down 2 8/8 Giants is a fucking huge play. Then, coming in with a Medivh the Guardian, that they'll most likely kill, into a Free from Amber and adding even more value to the board. Oh my god, that's good. If you could actually go Medivh, it dies. Then you do the Free from Amber, boom, get your 2 minions, one of which is going to be an 8 cost minion, one's going to be 8 or more cost minion, and then you throw down 2 sets of Arcane Giants. Short of an Equality Consecration, your opponent is pretty fucked at that point, alright? Short of a Brawl, Twisting Nether, Equality Consecration, they are fucked 9 ways to Sunday. I don't give a fuck who they are. They are fucked, alright? But there are ways of dealing with that sort of scenario, so you got to bait those things out during your mid-game, and once they're baited out, psh, GG, you're done. You're done, son. All in all, I think the deck is actually pretty fucking fun to play. It really is pretty fun to play. I didn't think I'd say that about Priest for a very, very long time, but this actually reinvigorated my belief that Priest might actually still have a place. Is this a tier 1 deck? Hell no. Is this like a tier 2, maybe 3 deck? Somewhere around there. But it's still a lot of fun and worth checking out. Lyra Sun Shard, not nearly as good as I thought it would be, but not nearly as bad as a lot of people think it would be. So keep that in mind. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much all for the decks. I hope you enjoyed it. please go back, rewind, look at any of the decks, figure out which one you'd like to play. Leave me some comments down below of which decks you've been playing, which decks look really interesting to you from this list. Let me know your thoughts. If you see any place that we could possibly make an improvement in any of these decks, let me know. All right, I'm always open to some constructive criticism to make things better for me as well as you guys. All right, if you see or know something that's better here, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it down in the comments section, guys. All right, and as always, if you like these videos, please like, subscribe, leave me that love. It really does help, and I really do appreciate it. Till next time, this is Shiv saying, stay safe, have fun, and don't play Pirate Warrior. You will get herpes. Peace.